Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is an action movie review. I'll be having a look at the movie Assault on Wall Street, also known as Bailout. So this is a recent film by U-Bowl and starring Dominic Purcell as Jim Baxford. And now it's kind of it is an action film, but it has got something to say. This film. So the first 2/3 of this film really are the story of Jim Baxter and his wife gradually sort of getting into more and more debt and just falling prey of the financial system in the US. Bad loans, bad investments, no one really taking sort of responsibility for it. Basically, people getting passed from pillar to post, along with mounting costs of medical bills because his wife has got a sort of recovering from a brain tumour, and it's obviously very expensive. Things basically go from bad to worse, and it's basically the tale of kind of the spiralling down. The more you get in debt, the worse it's going to be, and the more debt ultimately you're going to get in. And the more and more you're having to borrow and scrimp and scrape, and the worse you're going to get in this story anyway. So it's a very much a commentary on the economic and financial crisis that is happening in today's world. And if I have to have a criticism with this film, I would say it maybe does beat you over the head a little bit too much with its agenda. But to be honest with you, that's really the only criticism I've got with this film, because it's an extremely solid film. And if you're familiar with U-Bowl's work, he's historically hasn't had the best track record, shall we say, but he's certainly he's had a couple of more recent films that have been of a better standard, and this one is certainly no exception to that. So the last third of this film is basically, you've got Dominic Purcell's character. His wife ultimately commits suicide because she just can't take the stress, because she feels like she's kind of been this big financial burden. And it basically sends him off the rails. He gets evicted from his house. His really only friends are these two policemen and a security guard. That he works as a security guard for them, but he ends up getting fired because they can't have someone who deals with money in such financial debt. So it really is. He hits absolute rock bottom. Now we're told he's actually an ex-soldier, so he's got sort of military background and weapons training and everything like that, and he just decides that he's had enough and wants to sort of take out these fat cats and these people that are sort of messing with people's lives to get their big bonuses and things like that, and essentially goes on a rampage, which is actually a recent film that he's done as well, which is kind of a similar theme almost, just going around and shooting people, if you look at the very basics like that. So the last third of this film is the assault on Wall Street, and he's taken out pretty much anyone who he sees as being involved in these kind of these banking and financial scandals and things like that in a quite a brutal, and basically he's just going around executing them. He's not trying to kill anyone randomly. He's not just sort of firing sort of into the crowd of random people. He's trying to pick off specific targets. Although there is one point where he's simply shooting in windows with anyone with a suit. So you could have been there for a job interview and you may have got shot. So there is a little bit of a potential collateral damage with this plan, I have to say. There's kind of I guess a bit more of a fantastic twist at the end. I won't tell you what it is. It's obviously a new film, so you're probably not many people have seen it. But there is kind of a little bit of a twist at the end, and I think maybe it kind of goes a little bit. It's fairly realistic up to that point, I would say, if you get what I mean. But this is a really decent film. It's well shot. It's well acted. I think Dominic Purcell, you may know from Prison Break TV series, and he also played Dracula in Blade Trinity. I think he does a decent performance here, and it's nice to see Edward Furlong as well in another role. He's kind of probably his best friends, and I get the impression that his friends these two police guys and this other guy are sort of suspecting that he may be behind it, but they kind of don't ever sort of say anything. It's never actually addressed one way or the other, but it's, you know, it's all in the media. Everything is this. These people get murdered, and they get the impression that maybe they suspect that he may be behind it. Certainly, Edward Furlong, with the sort of the looks that he's shooting him. Anyway, I've got to say, I enjoyed this film. Now, it's not a sort of film you're going to pop in for a bit of mindless action. I wouldn't say that. It does have a bit of a message, and that is the SSA. That maybe the only thing I think it maybe goes a little bit. It just sort of wears that very much on its sleeve. As constantly you're hearing sort of news reports and things like that in the background about all this financial stuff going on. So I think maybe it tries to sort of round the message a little bit too far down your throat. But you know, it's done it in an effective manner. It does it, and it's a very sort of realistic take on what potential the problems that we have in the Western society, not just America, but here in the UK as well. And you know, and obviously an extreme response to that. So my hat off to you, Beau. You know, it's a decent film. You know, it'll be interesting to see what sort of what you guys think of this film. So leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.